in the vast, shimmering expanse of the Arctic, where the sun barely dips below the horizon, lived two unlikely best friends, Blizzy the penguin and Torta the turtle. Blizzy was a bundle of feathers and frenzy, his flippers flapping with the energy of 1,000 tiny hurricanes. Torta, on the other hand, was the epitome of steady calm, moving with the deliberate slowness of someone who knew haste was the thief of good judgment. Together, they were an unbreakable duo, Blizzy's spark igniting Torta's quiet wisdom and Torta's patience anchoring Blizzy's wild whims. It was a crisp morning in their cozy penguin village. The air hummed with the chatter of neighbors when Blizzy overheard a tale from old Whiskers the walrus. "Aye, lads and lasses," he rumbled, "back in me youth, I spied it myself a Viking longship, swallowed whole by the great Iceberg o' Eldfjord. Gold it held, they say, but guarded it is by something fierce and finned." The crowd gasped, but Blizzy, he was hooked. His heart thumped like a drum in a storm. "Torta," he squawked, sliding down a snow mound in a flurry. "Did you hear? Treasure, real Viking treasure. We're going. Today." Torta, who had been methodically cracking ice for her morning seaweed salad, paused mid-chomp. "Blizzy, my flippered firecracker," she said slowly. "Treasure tailies are like mirages on the floe pretty, from afar, perilous up close." But Blizzy was already pacing, his flippers waving. "Oh, come on, Torta. Imagine it golden, fish coins, to trade for the biggest herring haul. We'll be legends. Please? For the flippers of friendship?" He batted his eyelashes, which only made him look like he had snow in his eyes. Torta sighed, a sound like a gentle tide retreating. "Very well," she conceded, "but we pack smart. And if things go squishy, we turn flipper immediately." Blizzy whooped, tackling her in a hug that nearly toppled them both into the fishing hole. The quest was on. The journey to Eldfjord began at dawn. Blizzy led the charge, his waddle a bouncy zigzag across the pack ice, chattering nonstop about Viking longships. Torta followed at her measured pace, her shell carving a neat furrow in the snow. They crossed treacherous crevasses, with Blizzy testing each snow bridge with dramatic leaps, yelling solid as Torta's shell, while she rolled her eyes and reinforced them with packed snow. By midday, the air grew thick with the scent of brine and ancient ice, and there it loomed, the Eldfjord iceberg. It rose from the sea like a titan's tooth. "Whoa," Blizzy breathed, his bravado flickering like a candle in the wind. "It's single quotes S, bigger than old Whiskers said." Torta nodded, her flippers flexing. "Bigger, yes. But remember, little one ice melts with patience, not pounding. Let's scout." They circled the beck, Torta paddling through shallows while Blizzy belly slid along the edges, his beak tapping like a woodpecker's drum. Hours slipped by in this eerie ballet until, as the light began to deepen to bruised purple, Blizzy's beak struck pay dirt. Clink, a resonant chime, not the dull thud of solid glacier. "Torta, here, feel this." He pecked furiously. Torta lumbered over, pressing her shell against the spot. A faint vibration hummed through her. "Hollow indeed," she murmured. "The ship's cradle. But the entrance is sealed tighter than a clam at low tide. We'll need to dig." Digging commenced with the fervor of archaeologists. Blizzy wielded his beak like a pickaxe, chipping away in frenzied bursts. "Take that, you frozen fiend." But his energy waned. Quickly, in the biting cold, enter Torta, the unsung hero of endurance. With her powerful flippers, she scooped and tunneled, carving a barrow that spiraled downward. Where Blizzy's strikes were lightning flashes, hers were the steady erode of ocean currents. They worked in tandem, Blizzy loosening chunks for Torta to haul away, her creating space for him to dart in and probe deeper. The air grew mustier, laced with the tongue of salt-preserved wood. "We're close," Torta panted after what felt like an eternity. "I can taste the salt of the sea. And something shinier." At last, with a groan that echoed like the ship's dying breath, the ice gave way. They tumbled into a cavernous chamber, their lamps revealing the barnacle-crusted hull of the Viking longship. Blizzy's beak hung open in awe. Torta. Look! Chests of weathered oak spilled their guts across the deck. Golden coins, stamped, with leaping fish, a parchment map, charting forgotten fjords. And rubies winking from nets like captured stars. Blizzy capered in delight, coins clinking like tiny bells. We're rich! Legends. But wait, what's that rumble? The cavern trembled. From a side tunnel, eyes like polished onyx gleamed eyes belonging to a walrus twice the size of old whiskers, his tusks curved like scimitars. This was Grufker the Guardian. Intruders, he bellowed, his voice a landslide of fury. This hoard is mine. Be gone, or become berg fodder. Panic seized Blizzy. He skidded behind Torta's shell, peeking out, with wide eyes. Torta, he's huge. We're snacks. But Torta, unflinching, planted her flippers. Easy, mighty one, she called. We're not thieves, just seekers of stories. Share the shine, and we'll leave you in peace. Grufker laughed, a bark like cracking flows. Peace? Huh? I'll crush your shells to dust. He charged, the chamber quaking. Blizzy Brin, Torta Stral, Fliscrip. As Grufker lumbered forward, Blizzy darted out. With acrobatic flair, he leaped onto a pile of nets. Hey, Blubberbelly. Catch me, if you can? He somersaulted over the walrus's head, then zipped between his flippers, nipping playfully. Grufker roared, swiping wildly, but Blizzy was a shadow, drawing the beast's fury away. Seizing the moment, Torta moved like a glacier with purpose. She slithered beneath the walrus's underbelly, invisible in the chaos. Blizzy's antics peaked with a triple flip onto Grufker's back, followed by a triumphant slide. Missed me, again. Slowpoke. Enraged, the walrus reared, exposing his vulnerable flank. Now, Torta surged upward, her shell slamming into a pressure point just behind his foreflipper. Grufker bellowed in surprise, teetering. Intatwubl, Tortas with her beaks, tossing them toward the tunnel. Blizzy hauled tail. Blizzy rocketed toward the exit, coins jingling, with Torta right behind him. They burst into the open air, just as a chunk of the iceberg calved into the sea with a thunderous splash. Panting and glittering, they collapsed on a stable floe. Blizzy unfurled the map. We did it, Torta? Not all the gold, just enough to spark the village's dreams. Torta nodded, wiping melt from her brow. Aye, and wiser for the chase. Greed gods, but sharing freeze. They paddled home as dawn broke, their village stirring to the sight of their triumphant return. Word spread like wildfire. Blizzy and Torta, treasure tamers. They presented the haul at the communal fire pit, donating every coin to fund better nets and sturdier igloos. Old Whiskers wept tusky tears of joy. That night, under the auroras, the village feasted. Blizzy and Torta sat side by side, bellies full, hearts fuller. Best quest ever, Blizzy whispered. Couldn't have flipped without you. Torta chuckled, her shell warm against his feathers. Nor tunneled without your spark. Too many more, friend. And so, the legend of the Iceberg, treasure, quest echoed on a tale, proving that the greatest gold is the kind you share with those who waddle beside you. If this frosty frolic with Blizzy and Torta left you chilled in the best way, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and dive into more Arctic escapades. What's our next quest? Drop your ideas in the comments. Let's make waves together.